Welcome to Off Air with Christy Capel. I am with the fastest man on two hands, continuing to defy all odds. Zion Clark is on the show with us right now. He is, let me run down the list. This might take another 30 minutes, all of his accomplishments. An All-American wrestler, MMA fighter, Guinness World Record holder, subject of an Emmy Award-winning Netflix documentary. He's also an author, a speaker, which he infuses humor, wit, and life lessons into his speeches. A contestant, by the way, on America's Got Talent. And for those of you listening in Northeast Ohio, he attended Kent State here, which is a big deal for all of us here in Northeast Ohio and Cleveland. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Zion just got out of MMA practice, so I said I would make it easy on him. So you were quite the celeb, and when I saw all your information, I said I got to get him on my show because you just have such a wonderful story to tell, and I'm glad that you're getting out and you're speaking to all these kids who need to hear some of this motivation. So I heard you were just in Cleveland with the Savannah Bananas. How'd that go?
It was awesome. A crowd of 70,000 people hadn't turned up, and it was a cool thing. You know what I mean? Like when I step out in front of a crowd, I know how to bring electricity to the air. So.
You do. I've never seen the Savannah Bananas. So talk about the atmosphere. Like, what's it like? I see them on TikTok all the time.
They take modern baseball and they turn it into something that you can interact with the fans from start to finish. And I found it very entertaining, very, very fun. I was with Kipnis, I was with Clubber. There was really cool stuff being with some of the greatest MLB players in Cleveland history. And, it was like just a moment in time, which, I wouldn't go back and do it again because sometimes those things you need to do it one and done. But that one and done is one of those things that I will never forget for the rest of my life.
Yeah, they are fun to watch if you ever get an opportunity to see them because Savannah Bananas travel all over the country. But let's talk about your story. You were born in Columbus, so an Ohio native with a rare birth defect, which left you without legs. You were given up for adoption and then labeled as a problem child in the foster system. So talk about as a kid growing up.
So as a kid growing up, I definitely wasn't dealt a fair card. It was very rough. I wasn't looked at as the same as other people. I wasn't looked at the same as other kids. Everything I had to do to make life work, I had to figure it out myself. And given the fact that I didn't really have a family setting, I was outside a lot. So I was on the streets. I was running around different gangs. I was running around with different people, like learning how to just literally survive.
Yeah. You talk about being in abusive situations, haters that you dealt with, which is an unfortunate thing that all kids are having to deal with, especially this day and age. And talk about that because once you were going through those certain things, you found ways that would pull you out of that in a good way. You talk about music and wrestling. And so there was a lot of things that kind of helped keep you going. So what was going on during that time?
So when it came to keeping my peace in my own mind, it was more so the fact that, a lot of the world, what was going on in the world and what was going on with me wasn't, I wouldn't say fair, but just wasn't right. Mm-hmm. And what really helped me down was just wrestling and making my music for the most part. That's all, like, you see my biggest talent. So what I do is being a martial artist and making music. I have mastered the trumpet, the guitar, the drums, the piano, 12-string guitar, 12-string bass, 6-string bass. I can sing, I can rap. I've actually performed with a couple different artists, like on stages with the likes of Quavo, Meek Mill. I've worked with artists like King Joel, Big Crit, Gucci Man. What else? Yeah. So, when it comes to terms of music, I was actually making music before I learned how to wrestle, meaning that I started music when I was about 3 years old, getting my first drum set.
Wow.
I was playing on a full drum set by the time I was 6.
That's amazing. Do you feel like you kind of like lose yourself like in the music where you just kind of tune everything out? Like, was that more of like a healing process for you too when you were a kid?
When I was a kid, I was just having fun, and even now, I just have fun with it. Like
Yeah.
there's something about when I walk onto a stage, whether I'm making music or whether I'm speaking or emceeing, that it's just something about getting the crowd going, seeing ladies dance, seeing homies jigging, seeing it's a whole thing for me. So for me. It's always been just a moment of release and a moment of just pure joy for me.
Yeah. And talk about wrestling because that's obviously being an MMA fighter, all American wrestler. You talk about how you weren't really that good in high school, and then all of a sudden you just blossomed. How did that happen? So when you were in high school, you weren't good, but then is it that you got better at Kent State?
No, actually, I got better by the time I turned a senior. By the time I
Okay.
was a senior in high school, I went from losing every single match for years on end to winning. I think I won like 15 matches in a row, beating like the number one guy in the state of Ohio, beating the number four, beating the number six. I was going up against nationally ranked guys, beating them too. And next thing you know, I'm in the match to go to states, and I lose to the returning state champion, 1-0 in triple overtime, sudden death. And with that, I made a really big statement that year, to the point where next thing you know, all these college offers just flooded in. And
Wow.
I didn't even think I was going to get to wrestle, so I was like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out with the bang. And so next thing you know, I didn't realize I wasn't going out. I realized that I'm about to take this even further.
And so you chose Kent State. Now, what were some of the other schools that you were looking at? Because me being from, well, I work in Cleveland, so that's a big deal for us that you're from Kent State.
So I had Kent, I had Otterbein, I had the school in Alabama, I had it's been so long. I'm trying to remember these other offers.
No, you're young.
But it's been a long time. It's been like 8 years now. So, but I had a lot of different offers where like I actually took a year off after I graduated high school, and I didn't know what to do. And I was also broke too, so I started working as a job as laying cinder blocks, and I was working as a car detailsman. And then on top of that, I was training like every single day. So all I was doing was just training, going to work, training, going to work, training,
Wow.
going to work. And by the time that next year came around, the offers were all still there. And I was like, wow, I guess y'all really think I can do something. And so next thing you know, I chose Kent State, and I had a really breakout of a year. And fun fact, I lost my very first match at Kent.
Oh, geez.
I lost the first match at home. You feel me, in the MAC, and it was awesome. You know what I mean? I was like, it made me so mad that I went to the tournament the next weekend and won first place.
That's right. That's what I'm telling my kid right now. She's all upset she was getting trash talked on the soccer field. I said, use that. Turn that around and score a goal on her. Steal the ball, right?
Absolutely.
I like what you after researching all your stuff. You have the no excuse mentality, and I think that is such a wonderful trait that I think a lot of these kids need to understand and learn. In your mind, how did that come to be? You just were like, "We're doing it. This is what we're doing, and I'm going to get good at it."
For me, it was always like, if I lose, so what? If I win, so what? I'm here. I'm happy where I'm at. And if I'm gonna go do this, I'm gonna go do it 100%.
Yeah.
And even if I lose, I'm still know that I'm doing it 100%. And at the time, I knew I wasn't giving 100% because obviously when I did give 100%, you saw what the results were. But like when I would go out and I would lose, and I lost over and over again, I just kind of accepted it. Not accepted the fact of defeat, but just accepted that, oh well, I can try again tomorrow. Oh well, try again tomorrow. Oh well, I can try again tomorrow. And so it was a fact of like, all right, yeah, I adopted no excuses, but what really turned it around for me when I really adopted it, I remember I was a senior in high school. I just dislocated my shoulder. My coach popped it back in, and it was my first big tournament where I'm wrestling like multiple state champs. I'm wrestling like national ranked guys. I'm in the round to go wrestle for first. So if I win my semifinal, I wrestle for first place. And my coach comes up to me and he's like, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm almost in tears because like I just torn part of my labrum, and I was in a lot of pain. Like it was a partial tear and I dislocated my shoulder, but like we popped it back in, and I didn't realize all the recruiters were in the stage, like in the stands watching. But my coach came down to me. He was like, "Z, you're literally down by 1 point." Smacked me right in my face and said, "Let's go."
Yeah.
And I got up. This dude tried to hit this move called a flying squirrel on me, and I jumped up, caught his legs in the middle of the air, won my semifinal in overtime, and went and wrestled for first place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And right then and there, I was like, I got the juice. I got it. I got what you need to have to be one of the best.
Yeah. And did a lot of that come as a kid from training or the bullying that probably took place that you've talked about in the past? So what were those moments like going through school? And kids are rough, man.
So me as a kid, I always had an attitude on me, like even now. But like I always had this attitude where like, if you want to get in my face, come on, let's get in my face. Let's see where this takes us. And I used to get bullied. I used to get beat up a little bit. You know, it was always like, you know, I was the one. I would refuse to let you walk over me.
Mm-hmm.
And that more times out of less would get me in trouble.
So you went on, obviously, to become this all-American wrestler, MMA fighter, Guinness World Record holder. You competed in the Tokyo Games. Was this back in 2020?
No, 0.3 seconds, and if I would have 0.3 seconds faster, I would have made the team. And so that's how that went. And then I would have been in the games this past year if 7 months ago I didn't break 2 of my ribs.
No way. And that injury was just a practice injury.
No, I tried to do a backflip on a jet ski.
Oh my God, Zion! Oh Lord have mercy.
Yeah.
Oh jeez. You you are something else. So, when you will be competing in the Paralympics at some point?
Yes, I will be. So this next year coming up, like right now, I'm booked out for the rest of the year for fights, speeches, everything.
Okay.
So, as of right now, so like I got a good training regimen going on right now, and because each year I finished out top 2 in the country every single year, all the way up until I broke my ribs. Like I was that guy where you would race against me, like you'd be like, you have to beat this dude if you want to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for right now, like I took a back pedal. I let somebody else have the spotlight this past year, but if you guys
You'll get it back.
You're gonna have it much longer.
That's right.
It's gonna let you know. But
that's right.
It's been like for me, it's been a year of healing, and I've been just getting my mind right, getting my body right, redesigning my team, and like just kind of a whole like 360 rebranding, or more of a 180 rebranding.
Yes, and so you talk about the training. What are some of the specifics that you do for training for this? I hear you're pretty good at the bench press.
So that's crazy. I don't really lift anymore, which I do lift,
Really?
but like all my lifting is for biometric weight, for like bilateral movement and stuff like that. So where, you know, if I'm in the track chair, certain movements, benching does help a little bit, but you're not seeing me bench heavy weights. You're seeing me bench for stamina and time.
Gotcha.
So the longer I can push and the heavier the weight goes up, that means I can push faster and stronger for longer.
Yeah.
But
we hear
when it comes to MMA, you see, I'll put weights in my hands and I'll move through the movements that I need to do with heavier weights. So say I go to take you down and get on top of you and punch you in the mouth. It's going to hurt a lot more than me just sitting there bench pressing or hitting the gym regular. I lift to whatever movements that I need to for myself.
Interesting. And for those who maybe are wrestlers, you got any good tips or advice?
I'm telling you right now, you're not going to get better at wrestling by being in the weight room. You're going to get better at wrestling by wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
My coach is the one that told me that, hands down. His name is Gil Donahue. He taught me a lot of what I've said. He said the best wrestlers learn how to wrestle by wrestling. My coach is MMA. You're going to get better at fighting by fighting. So I'm training every day. I'm wrestling every day. I'm fighting every single day.
I guess it's that continuous repetition, right? Of just the practice. I mean, Zion was just...
You drill something 10,000 times, you can do it without looking.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about this Netflix. This is something, it's been out for a bit, but this is something that you need to see. Show your kids, show them the resiliency, those who are athletes and maybe feel like maybe they can't because they got cut from the team or what have you. This is such a great, inspirational story. So talk a little bit about that who have not seen the Netflix
So my
movie.
Netflix documentary is kind of like a prelude to everything that's going on right now. So by the time my Netflix documentary came around, I wasn't an All American yet, but I was on my way there. I was like halfway through my season of just dominating over at Kent State. And when it came out, it was like, it's how it came about. Just some weird producer hitting my mom up from New York City, and I ignored him for about 5 months. And then he was like, "Hey, this is like legit. I want to do this." And I was like, "Okay, talk to my mom." And so, but I was like 18.
She'll set him straight.
So I didn't have an agent or nothing like that. Like I was on ESPN Sports Center doing my thing like continuously, but it wasn't nothing that spoke to that. So it was like, oh wow, I need to go do this right now. No, it was like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Where are you from? Like,
Right,
what I mean?
right.
So next thing you know, like we filmed for a week, and they just kind of got an insight to my life. They talked to me and followed me around with my friends and like everybody that I grew up with. And when you watch it, it's a testament of if somebody like me can like come and have a crap background and like have come up with nobody. Why can't you, that somebody that has the tools, has the resources, use what you have to really level yourself up in your life, not just as an athlete, but as a person in general.
Mm-hmm. And talk about your mom. You said your mom, basically your agent, and she has just been quite the savior and angel here on
She
earth.
was my agent for that 1 year, and then I expanded because, like, no offense to my mom, but I like to handle everything on my own. So
right. But your mom adopted you at what age?
she adopted me at 17.
Okay. And then talk about what that moment was like. We talked earlier in the podcast how you had a rough going with the foster care system. And then you finally find a person who wants to take care of you, who truly loves you.
It was just a saving grace, my
Yeah.
mom. She is an amazing woman. She has done a lot in my life, but at that time in my life, I was getting ready to be homeless. So like, if she didn't take me in, I would have had a trash bag and nothing to my name, sitting on the street, and that's how that was going to go.
Yeah.
And so the fact that she brought me in, because the foster care system just completely, they exhausted all their resources, which I don't think they did. I just thought they were tired of handling me. But they exhausted all their resources.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were like, this kid's just got to get put out. So, like, if you don't take him in, we're getting rid of him. Mm. And, most kids like me, not in terms of disability, but most foster kids like me, they don't get the opportunity to have success. I feel like I'm a rare case, but most of them don't get that opportunity to have success, to have opportunities to better themselves or have a stable background or a stable support system to help them get on their feet. And so for me, when my mom brought me in, I was a wild cannon. I was getting suspended in school for knocking cats out and like fighting all the time. And it was just how it was going. Where I grew up in Madison, Ohio, ain't for the weak heart. And just that's how it went. And so when my mom took me in, she was kind of able to show me like, hey, look, like, there's a lot more in life that life has for you, and she was able to relate to me because I was growing up in the street. A lot of my family, they got a crazy background. You look at my family, we some real ones. But, and that's why I love them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they were able to, because they grew up kind of like me, but they were able to get out and like make something for themselves.
Yeah, which is wonderful.
They showed me that, and it was like I went from being a nobody to being a multiple-time track and field state champ, a multiple-time track and field national champ, to setting the American record, to breaking record after record after record after record, to wrestling at the highest level, to like training with the world's top athletes, to becoming now one of the world's top athletes, being mentioned at the ESPYs, to doing everything that I never thought in my wildest dreams I could do, is because it stems from that moment.
Yeah, that's true. That's so true. And everybody deals with that moment in their lives, whatever that may be. And what an inspiration to say, hey, keep going, guys. If I can do it, you can do it. Um,
Absolutely.
you are continuing to travel around the country, spreading the good news. I hear that you went to South Africa at some point. Were you helping kids' schools or?
Oh, I went to South Africa. I was in South Korea. I was in Qatar. I was in London.
Wow.
I was in, where else was I? I was in Germany. Yeah, I've been making my rounds around the planet. So I'm getting ready to go to
And what were
Switzerland.
you doing there?
Some things I'm on stage, just having fun. Some countries, for instance, I was in Qatar. I was guest of King Amir, the King of Qatar. I was a
Wow.
private guest. So like, and then out in the UK, I was with the UFC. And so like, it's just like the way I've been moving right now. Like, I'm not going everywhere and just speaking. I'm going everywhere, and I am turning the world up in the most literal sense it can be.
That's wonderful. I'm so proud of you. You don't need me to tell you that because you don't know me just from this podcast, but I've been inspired by your story. I know so many people have. Before I let you go, you are also going around and speaking as well. What and earlier I had said that you infuse the humor and the wit in the life lessons in your speeches. Talk about when you show up at these schools and what your speeches are like, and even like what's the reaction from these
So I don't
kids?
necessarily speak to schools that much, but like when I do, I'm telling you right now. You ever heard like 2,000 kids scream at the top of their voice after the principal asks you not to do that? It's
Oh,
amazing.
geez.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
for me, it's like for the kids, it's mainly about like I want them to have fun while I'm there.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm not all serious like my life is crap and blah blah blah. No, I'm like, listen, if you're a kid, go have fun right now because before you know it, you won't be a kid anymore.
That's true.
And
Yeah, go
the
live your
span of our
life.
lifetime, us being children is very short and minuscule.
Yes, there's no responsibilities. This is your time. That's what I tell my kids. Like don't take everything so seriously. This is a time for you to go have fun with your friends and grow and better
Absolutely.
yourself, right? Whether it's school,
Mhm.
athletics, what have you. I love how your quote says, you don't need legs to leave a footprint on earth. So I think that pretty much says we will be following you. It says a lot. And it's been fun to talk to you. I can't wait to see what's
Absolutely.
next for you. Do you have like a goal or dream in mind? I kind of feel like you've
I don't really
accomplished a
have
lot already.
necessary goals besides being the most elite athlete I can be and like leveling up my game as a musician to the absolute brink of success. But aside from that, I'm releasing a children's book with Candlewick. So I've already released two books. I'm getting ready to release my third one. So be on the lookout for that. I can't say the name or anything like
Okay.
that. But I'll be
Okay.
dropping the third book in the next
Yes.
couple months.
And the other two books, were they kids' books as well? Talk about
So the first
those.
one's a coffee table read. It's called Zion Unmatched. Another one's like a young adult read, which is work with what you got.
That's great. And you probably can get those on Amazon.
You can get them on Amazon. You can walk into Target and get them. You can just find them at Barnes and Nobles. You can find my books anywhere.
That's awesome. Well, we are excited to see what's next for you. Who knows, maybe
I'm,
another movie.
I'm also competing in BTS in Cleveland on the 5th.
No, you're not.
Yeah, so on the 5th of October, it'll still be just like a fun charity match, but I am going to be competing for Beat the Streets. It's one of the biggest wrestling organizations in the United States, and it'll be in Cleveland. So everything just went live today, and then I'm going to be fighting in Buffalo, New York on the 19th, and then maybe sometime in November I'm going to be fighting in Atlanta. So
That's awesome. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
Do you come back to Cleveland often?
I don't. So when I'm there, it's like a fun time. So
Yeah, it is. I bet a lot of memories. Well, thanks, Zion. We look forward to watching you. He's a great Instagram follow too. So I will link everything so you can stay up to date with all of his progress and more medals, more awards, more great things for you, I expect. Thanks, Zion.
yeah, take it easy.
All the best.
Yeah.